All right, there you're watching it. Mark Zuckerberg on the hot seat. We are listening to him as he answers questions before the House Commerce Committee. It's been about a couple of hours now, and he's really getting a grilling, a lot having to do with privacy issues and other, of course, that breach by Cambridge Analytica has been a big subject of debate by those Congress people as they talk with Mark Zuckerberg. I'm here alongside Bob Bianchi, a Law&Crime trial analyst. Bob, how do you think Mark's faring?
I think he's doing pretty good for what I believe to be the personality of Mark Zuckerberg. And from my experience as a lawyer, from dealing with people who are very wealthy, have a lot of power, and are used to saying do this and do that, and not have people, especially not only ask them questions, but ones that are direct, pointed, and in their face. I've seen this with doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, and guys like Zuckerberg, who's like on top of the world. They do not like being peppered with questions. So I think he's holding his own.
Yeah, and he's really responding to each and every question being, I mean, he has to, but he's being respectful and really trying to answer directly the congressman's questions about especially some of the issues surrounding privacy. We talked a little bit about this, how one of the questions had to do with how difficult it is when you see someone putting up content about you that's inaccurate, or, you know, spoofing your Facebook account or using the platform for bad, to actually reach someone at Facebook in order to get that removed or to flag that content in some way. And you had a personal experience with this yourself.
Yeah, you know, there's a piece of me, there's multiple facets to where this is, if you look at it from a business person's point of view like his, he's looking at that he provides a platform for communications. Am I supposed to be the monitor of those communications? But as you point out, I had a situation when I was no longer the prosecutor, and of course, obviously, we've received many death threats and had the cops surrounding our house on many occasions, where my wife's Facebook account was actually lifted and the person was spoofing that Facebook account. And due to my previous status in the law enforcement world, we tried to reach out, or they did, and I'm told, so I will preface it, I didn't speak to Facebook directly, that there really wasn't much of a response when a law enforcement agency actually contacted them and said, this is a former high-level law enforcement executive and we're concerned, and essentially we weren't able to resolve it. And I was thinking to myself, if somebody in my capacity, in my position, where there's a legitimate safety issue, and again, this is what I'm being told, like, what does a regular person do?
It's a frustration because it's weighing the privacy issues and the ability for people to post what they want to concerns over safety and other issues surrounding that. Very interesting. If you want to continue to watch Mark Zuckerberg being grilled before Congress, you can do that on our website, lawandcrime.com. I want to turn now to another case that we are covering here on the network, and that is one we've been following for weeks now, the Tex McIver murder trial going on in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Finally, it is the defense's turn to present their case, and I have Latonia Hines, a criminal defense attorney, on the line. She has been in the courtroom this morning as we heard from several defense witnesses. Ms. Hines, tell me what you make of the defense's case so far.
And I should tell you, I'm actually a prosecutor now. I was a defense attorney, but I'm a prosecutor.
Okay,
but,
I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
No worries. I've been able to be on both sides of it. Right now, we've got the defense witness up, which is talking a little bit about what they talked about in their opening statement about Tex McIver having some type of sleep disorder, something that would cause him to fall asleep very quickly and be startled when he wakes up, which is trying to explain the accidental issue about him actually discharging his weapon. So it's kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure how effective it needs to be at this point in time. I think that the defense doesn't need to spend a lot of time on it.
Okay, let me ask you this. You've been around the courthouse, maybe talking to some of the attorneys, getting some of the inside for us. Is Tex McIver going to take the stand? What's your prediction?
No. You've got Bruce Harvey and Don Samuel, who are very, very, very well-known and very good defense attorneys. Chances of him taking the stand are very slim, unless Tex McIver does what he's been doing most of this whole entire time, even before it came to trial, which is doing what he wants to do, and deciding that he wants to take the stand. It's a very risky thing to do. I don't think the defense needs to do that at this point.
And Bob, that's been really Tex McIver's curse here, is that he's made some pretty dumb moves after, certainly, the shooting.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly with the analysis that was just made there. First of all, from the beginning of this case, it was a loser for the prosecution. It did not get any better. And I love the idea that their ballistics expert, which I told you guys on Law&Crime was going to get destroyed, actually pulled the trigger and it malfunctioned during the course of the trial. So when there's an old axiom a judge told me when I first started trying cases as an assistant prosecutor, when you stand well, stand still. Another axiom that I was always told is that juries love to convict from the mouth of the defendant himself. They have not been able to prove their case, and Tex McIver can only hurt himself by getting on the witness stand. But Rachel, I have actually tried cases as a prosecutor, homicide cases like this, high level, where the client doesn't listen to the lawyer, gets on the stand, and the difference between guilty and not guilty was the ability to cross-examine the defendant into a conviction. Hey, Tex, if you're listening, stand well, stand still. Don't get on that witness stand.
Oh, wow. I mean, I definitely agree with you, Bob. I think it would be a very, very bad decision at this point for Tex McIver to take the stand. But like we said, he's a man that listens to his own advice. I hope he takes his attorney's advice, but we'll certainly see what happens. What do we expect, Latonia, going forward with the defense's case? Do you expect it to take all week? Who do you think is going to be their critical witness to put forward?
I think really it's going to be a gun expert, because what I think is, if you're the defense, you need to get the jury away from thinking about Tex McIver as much as thinking maybe this is more of an issue about the gun itself. Maybe this gun was a faultiness about it, maybe more like a product liability issue, because at this point, you can't get away from the facts that he doesn't seem like the most sympathetic person, and he hasn't seemed like the most loving person, and that plays into the prosecution's case about him not caring about his wife. But if you go with the idea that this gun could be faulty and anything could happen, where it could be an accident, that anybody could do this, despite the fact that they may not be the most likable person in the world.
Latonia, thank you so much for joining us. I know court is going to start back in the Tex McIver case any minute. In the meantime, I want to take our viewers here at the Law&Crime Network to another case. Yes, as I told you, we're everywhere today here on the network. I'm going to take you now to Florida, where we have a sentencing going on for a case that we covered on the network, the William Woodward case. He was found guilty of murdering two of his neighbors. He says that it was self-defense. The jurors didn't believe it, and now he's being sentenced. Let's take you to that courtroom in Florida.